I used to roll my eyes every time someone said, "Just put it out into the universe." I still remember the night everything changed, not because something magical happened, but because I finally understood why it felt like it did. My name doesn't matter for this story. What matters is that 6 months ago, I was the most practical person I knew. I worked in logistics, the kind of job where everything runs on spreadsheets and deadlines, not vibes. My sister Priya, on the other hand, kept a vision board on her bedroom wall. Little cutouts of houses, cars, some guy's face she said was her future husband's energy. I used to tease her mercilessly about it. "You know that's not how the world works, right?" I'd say. "You don't just think about something and it shows up." She'd just smile and say, "You'll see." I didn't take it seriously. I believed in effort, in showing up on time, in doing the work. Manifestation, to me, sounded like a nice story people told themselves to feel less powerless. I'd seen too many people online talking about raising their vibration, instead of updating their resume. That winter, I was going through something quiet. Nothing dramatic, just a slow, low-grade dissatisfaction. My job was fine. My apartment was fine. My life was fine. But there was this persistent feeling, late at night, that I was watching my own life instead of living it. I never told anyone that. It felt embarrassing to admit when nothing was actually wrong. One evening, mostly to humor Priya during a visit, I wrote something down. She'd handed me a notebook and said, "Just try it. Write what you want, like it's already happening. You don't have to believe it." I remember feeling a little silly holding the pen. But I wrote it anyway, mostly to end the conversation. I have work that feels meaningful. I'm surrounded by people who see me clearly. I feel calm in my own life. I put the notebook in a drawer and forgot about it. Genuinely forgot. I want to be clear about that, because what happened next is easy to misread if you don't know that detail. About 3 weeks later, something strange started happening. Not all at once, that's important. It was small things, one after another, that individually meant nothing, but together started to feel like a pattern I couldn't explain. A former coworker messaged me out of nowhere, asking if I'd be interested in a project at a nonprofit she'd joined, work that was, almost word for word, meaningful, in the exact way I'd described. I told myself it was coincidence. Coworkers reach out all the time. Then a woman in my apartment building, someone I'd exchanged maybe 3 sentences with over 2 years, stopped me in the hallway and said something that caught me off guard. She said I seemed like someone who actually listens. I remember standing there a little stunned, because that was almost the exact phrase from my notebook, people who see me clearly. I told myself I was pattern matching. That's what the brain does, I reminded myself. It's called confirmation bias. You write something down, then your mind starts hunting for evidence that supports it and ignoring everything that doesn't. I'd read about this. I believed in it. And yet, night after night, I found myself lying awake turning it over, unable to fully dismiss it. The moment that really unsettled me happened on a Tuesday. I was walking to the train, running through my usual mental checklist, when I noticed I'd taken a different route than normal. Construction had blocked my usual street. On that new route, I passed a small building with a hand-painted sign in the window, a community center looking for volunteers to help design their outreach programs. Something about it stopped me cold. It was, in almost every practical sense, the meaningful work I'd written about weeks earlier. I stood outside that building for a long time. Long enough that a man leaving the center asked if I was lost. I said no. I just said I was thinking. That night I went home and pulled the notebook out of the drawer for the first time since I'd written in it. I sat on my bed and read my own handwriting like it belonged to someone else. I remember thinking, this doesn't make sense. Either something about the world had shifted, or something about me had. I called Priya, half expecting her to gloat. She didn't. She just listened, and then she said something I didn't expect from her. She said, "I don't actually think the universe rearranged itself for you. I think you started noticing things you would have walked right past before." I sat with that for a while. At first it almost felt like she was taking something away from me, like she was explaining away the one strange, hopeful thing that had happened in months. But the more I thought about it, the more it didn't feel like a letdown. It felt like something more useful than magic. Because here's what I started to realize, slowly, over the following weeks: writing those sentences down hadn't changed the world around me. It had changed what I was paying attention to. Before, I walked past that community center 100 times without seeing the sign. I'd been offered small openings before, conversations, opportunities, moments of connection, and I'd let them slide by because my mind wasn't primed to notice them. The coworker who messaged me? I later found out she'd been thinking about reaching out for months. I just happened to respond differently this time, warmer, more open, because some part of me was looking for exactly that kind of exchange. I also started to notice something about my own behavior that I hadn't been honest with myself about. In the weeks after writing in that notebook, I'd been slightly different in small, almost invisible ways. I made more eye contact. I asked people follow-up questions instead of just waiting for my turn to talk. I said yes to things I would have normally declined out of habit. None of that felt like a decision at the time. It felt automatic. But it wasn't nothing, it was the quiet output of having, even briefly, imagined a version of my life that felt different. That was the part that actually unsettled me, in a good way. Not that some unseen force had responded to my intentions, but that my own mind had been running a kind of background process the entire time, scanning for anything that matched what I'd told it to look for. I'd essentially given my attention a new set of instructions, and my attention had quietly gone to work without asking my permission first. I stopped needing it to be mystical for it to matter. If anything, understanding the mechanism made it feel more real, not less. It wasn't the universe listening. It was me, finally listening to myself. In the months since, I've caught myself doing this in smaller, more deliberate ways. Before a hard conversation, I'll spend a minute imagining it going well, not because I think it guarantees the outcome, but because I've noticed I show up differently when I've already pictured myself calm instead of defensive. Before I walk into a room full of strangers, I remind myself I'm someone who finds people interesting, and somehow, I usually do. I think about Priya's vision board differently now too. I used to see it as wishful thinking. Now I see it as something closer to training, a way of telling your own attention what to go looking for in a world that offers you far more than you ever consciously register. Most of life happens in the details we don't notice, the ones our minds filter out because they don't match what we've decided to expect. I never did take that volunteer position at the community center, actually. Life got in the way it does. But I think about that hallway conversation with my neighbor more than I'd like to admit, the fact that someone had seen something in me that I hadn't been showing anyone, including myself, for a long time. I still don't believe in manifestation the way some people talk about it, like it's a formula, like the universe is a vending machine waiting for the right combination of thoughts. But I no longer think it's nothing, either. I think what actually happened to me that winter was smaller and, in its own way, stranger than magic. I changed what I was looking for, and the world, which had been offering it to me all along, finally became visible. I wonder sometimes how much of what we call luck, or fate, or timing, is really just attention we finally decided to give.